What makes music sound, well, fantasy? Is it the scales? Is it the instruments? Or maybe the mystical harmonic progressions? Today, I'll dive into 3 epic techniques to capture the real fantasy, unearthly sound that we associate with, fantasy and medieval music. Well, here's the twist. While exploring those concepts, I'm gonna write up a little cue all together, and we're gonna listen to the end result that incorporates all 3 of those techniques. So let's explore the medieval sounds of the Dorian Scale, the drama of Chromatic Mediants, and the lovely timbre of musical instruments such as the Hardanger fiddle. In case you're new to the channel, my name is Samuel, and this channel is all about orchestral composition and cinematic music production. And now I'm gonna let the jingle roll, and I'll see you right over there in the door. Okay, so the first concept is a scale, a specific scale, and the scale is the Dorian scale. Now, the idea of the Dorian scale, it's one of the modes of the major scale. Now, that sounds very complicated, but in essence, it's very easy. It is, you take a D as the root note. Where am I here? Boom. And once you've got the D, you just walk up the white keys. So what is special about this specific scale is it is almost a minor scale, but it's a little bit brighter and happier. Why? Because a D minor scale would be D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D. But instead of the B flat, we raise the 6th note of the minor scale to a B natural. So we get 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay? If we compare it, for instance, to C minor would be C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C. Then C Dorian would be C, D, E flat, F, G, and now we raise the 6th of the minor, which is an A natural, and then B flat and C. What makes this scale specifically interesting and suited for fantasy style music is that, to me at least, it always has a very medieval sound. Listen, for instance, to, now I'm going to stick to D Dorian, listen to this sound. And a very nice chord progression which I'm using here is starting at the 1st, then moving to the 3rd, which is a minor, and then the 4th, which is G major. In a real minor scale, this would be usually a minor chord, but in the Dorian scale, the 4th degree is a major chord, which gives you also some kind of resolution to the tonic to the 1st degree. Now, in my little tune, I'm using the exact same chord progression, but I'm playing in C minor. So I'm using C minor, then E flat major, then from here we go to F major, and then back to C minor. And to me, this chord progression always has something very medieval. Where do we jump in? How about here? Let me just hit the play button and see what we're going to listen to. So there we go. That's the Dorian scale. So that's ingredient number 1. Now, another trick in a composer's shelf, which is particularly very popular in, all kinds of Hollywood, particularly fantasy style music, is chromatic mediants. So let me explain what a chromatic mediant is, and don't be scared about the name. It's a lot fancier than the concept actually is. A chromatic mediant is, specifically, you take some chord, like, let's take for instance C major, and now from C major we move to the 3rd of the chord, and start building a chord from there. So C major, we've got C, E, and G. The third is E, but now we build another major chord. So it's going to be E major and B, right? And this movement has already some mystical nature to it, right? Can you hear the mysticism? You can do the same thing with minor, but now we're moving from C minor to E flat minor, which sounds a lot darker. We can also move a third down, so for instance to A minor, which to me sounds a little bit more resolved. You get the idea. All of this sounds super mysterious, and I'm using all of those mysterious sounds in my chord progression at the very end. Just try to listen to what particularly the strings here are playing and the chords we're listening to. Listen. Gives you kind of chills almost a little, right? In any case, so look, there's a lot more to chromatic mediants, but in its essence, if you know that you'll create a very mysterious sound if you just, jump, whoops, let me go down to my piano. If you jump from one minor chord to its minor third, and again minor, or from a major chord to the major chord that starts from the third, you can create those mystical sounds as you move along like that. You've already got the essence. If you're enjoying the video, you like this content, it's entertaining, and maybe you're even learning something, smash the like button, because like so you're letting me know that you enjoy this video. I'm going to make more of them, and on top of that, you'll help me reach more people like you who might be interested in this type of content. Now let's continue. Now, how about sounds? We also need some fantasy-specific sounds. Obviously, you've already heard some vocals out there, but I also have some specific instruments like this beautiful beast of an instrument that's called a Hardanger fiddle. Someone please tell me how to pronounce that. I have no clue. It is a Norwegian folk instrument that is very similar to a violin, except it's also kind of not. So this is what a Hardanger fiddle sounds like. And it does have a very medieval character. Other instruments I use to invoke a medieval sense is a dulcimer. Also I'm using a lute. So those are all very typical medieval style instruments that you can use to create textures that will go beyond your usual symphonic orchestra. I'm obviously also using a very traditional symphonic orchestra down here with a full string section, using horns, trombones and all of that. I'm going to show you my ostinato. I think that it goes very, very well with the sound of the dulcimer on here, for instance. See, without the dulcimer, it wouldn't sound as rich. Also up here, if we just listen to the vocals, which already have a very medieval character to them, it's all good and fine, but once we add in the Hardanger fiddles and the dulcimer with its tremolando, that's when we get the full kind of medieval sound, fantasy sound that we're looking for. You've got this far into the video. Now look, before we listen to the whole piece of music, please consider subscribing to the channel, like so you won't miss out on any future content like this. Now let's continue. So here we go. It's my little fantasy cue. Let's see what you think. You let me know in the comments. I hope, as usual, this is kind of a little bit of an inspiration for yourself. So if there's only one takeaway, then it's go out there and play with scales, play with sounds, instruments, and play with interesting harmonic progressions. That's what I wanted to say. So those 3 tips, the Dorian Scale, use that one. Use Chromatic Mediants for that mystical mystery magic, and use medieval sounding instruments, which may or may not be modern instruments, as long as we associate them with a fantasy or medieval sound. One last thing, if you want to support the channel, there's a link to buy me a coffee in the description. I'm more than thankful and very happy for any buck you can spend. It really helps me out and keeps me pushing more content to my channel. That's all for today, folks. Hope to see you around next time, and until then, keep creating.